The newest.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to start the Economic Growth and Development Committee meeting on the 21st or 22nd of November. If I may request a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting. Supervisor Strauss, Supervisor McDevitt. Any comments, changes? Seeing none, that's approved. Moving forward, I'm going to be suggesting that we try to do a little things different in committee meetings, adhere to the schedules. So if we get into a long protracted discussion on something, we may end up moving it to the next meeting. So I think it's important to stay on schedule. So right off the bat, Mr. Lamont is going to take charge.
Good afternoon. Yeah. I have 6 items before the committee's consideration today. The first is to allocate $71,715.86 to the transfer fund. What we did previously is when we closed some capital funds, we transferred the cash balance out via resolution 364 of 2022 and put that money in the transfer fund. On their own initiative, the county treasurer moved that money from the transfer account to the general fund. So I'd like to put it back into the transfer account so that we can reallocate it to existing capital funds.
Motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor McDevitt, second by Supervisor McGowan. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained? That passes.
Agenda item number 2, we're removing, seems that, I guess in my advancing years, this is the 3rd time we've tried to create the same capital fund. So we're removing that from the agenda. Item number 3, though, is to allocate increase capital fund H408 by $20,000 using some of that transfer fund money. This is for the Screen Lake invasive program. And some of the equipment that we looked at when we did the grant application a while ago has increased in price. And also on the state contract list, they did not include shipping. So we need to kind of increase our share to cover the cost, the additional cost of that equipment. That's a request of the committee to increase the capital fund.
Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor McGowan, second by Supervisor McDevitt. Any discussion? Administrator.
Thank you. And just to be clear, these were all originally funds from grants.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's not as if it's any extra funding coming out of the general fund. This was all grant funded, cap project back in general funds, back out and now rededicated.
Correct.
Additional questions, comments? Supervisor McGowan.
Yeah, just like to hear how successful the program has been in the past. I know we have it all over the place, but
I will defer to Ethan on that. He's been the one.
So yeah, this is a continuation of a program that's been going on for the past 3 years in the Screen Lake Basin. We partnered with an Essex County community, but optionally it's for Warren County communities to stop the spread of aquatic invasive species. Department of State gave us $250,000 last year to continue this program. Part of the reasons that there's a lot of interest from Department of State, DEC, and the municipalities is that we're going to be introducing this piece of equipment that Wayne is reallocating this funding for. It's a unmanned decontamination station. One of the biggest vulnerabilities at our boat launching and inspection points is, staff that might be college students, they leave 4 p.m. and boats are still coming on and off the water between 4 and 7 o'clock at night. This little pilot program that we're going to launch this coming year is just one way to try to close that gap. And, protecting the water quality of all of our water bodies is huge for the economic, prosperity of our county and for recreational and social values as well. So it's been a successful program. Department of State likes it. Our partner communities like it. We've had really good luck getting money from the state to do this. So it's another 2 years to be doing it.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. McGowan.
no, I really like that, and I see how hard we have on all our lakes to keep everything manned, because I see the stations all over the place. And really having people sit there, something to me, I'd go bat not crazy, but
And you just can't find them either.
no. But really education, it's just educating people. And why can't people just look over the boat without having someone sit there and, inspect it. So, but thank you and the effort. So we'll keep things moving.
Any other questions?
I will say. That
Yes?
Schroon Lake is on a management level for their Eurasian milfoil, so we're doing well, and we'd like to keep it there.
Awesome.
All right, moving forward to call a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same, that passes. On to the next.
Okay, agenda item number 4 is to transfer the remaining funds out of that transfer fund into an existing capital fund. Partly to not lose it at the end of the year when the budget gets reset. And also, we have currently $357,569.19 payments pending from the state. If they disallow some of that, or we do not satisfy their NWBE requirements, these funds will close that gap so that we don't have to come back to the committee next year to secure a general fund or contingency to close out a capital fund that may be deficient. So, and also, we have submitted, we still have 2 applications remaining, being noticed from the last round of CFA. They have not announced that. Both of those will have a match requirement, and that's what these funds are being set aside for also.
Very good. Motion to bring this to the floor, Supervisor McGowan, Supervisor Stroud on the second. Any questions? Tammy?
Can I just verify it's 86 cents?
Yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? That passed. Moving on. Thank you, Wayne.
Okay, agenda item number 5. I'll let Sarah talk about this a little bit if you're agreeable.
Absolutely.
Okay, I've been having some discussion over the last few weeks with Lake George Land Conservancy. I think everybody's aware we have several technical support contracts with partner agencies, the Regional Planning Board, Lake George Park Commission, AGFTC, where we provide GIS technical services on demand for those entities. We bill them quarterly for hours that we spend assisting them. And that is a good arrangement for these entities that don't have the need to have a full-time GIS staff person, but do need occasional GIS services. So Lake George Land Conservancy is interested in entering into a similar type of agreement. We would provide them services on an hourly basis, contract not to exceed $15,000 a year, which I don't anticipate that it would be anywhere close to that. But and I think this is a great partnership because we, it's all recreation data, which we're already very heavily involved in maintaining and promoting, and we'd like to be able to continue to work with them so to help them do a better job having that data available on their website, have better trail data. So
We need a motion. Supervisor McGowan, second. Supervisor McDevitt, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You opposed? Abstentions? That passes. Thank you, sir.
Request 6 and 7 are committee approval of notice of intent to fill. As you are aware, we are restructuring the department a little bit as part of the budget process. So when the new budget takes effect, we'd like to be able to utilize those positions as they are reflected in the budget, and so we need intent to fill.
A motion to approve. Supervisor Stroud, thank you. Second. Supervisor McDevitt, any questions? Supervisor McGowan.
So the intent to fill is Director of Planning and Computing Development. Aren't you the acting director?
I am the county planner / director, and so we're splitting those job duties so that the director can concentrate more on economic development and housing, and the planning side can function on the updated plans and working with the communities on the planning process. It's just it's an organizational structure change, but not really too much of a functional change.
So if I can add something though, we all recognize Mr. Lamont is going to be leaving employed other county. I think it's gotten to the point where he might be even talking about counting down the hours. So it's important that we move forward with this. And Mr. McGowan, you have another question?
Well, I feel as you being chair, you're sliding my decision here, so. But my question was. Because I wasn't done. Didn't we talk about this earlier? And it was kind of, also to help to find someone, because we haven't been able to find. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, pass. Next one, Wayne.
Okay, under discussion items, I just want to briefly bring up that, as I mentioned before, we do have a significant amount of money that is pending.
Wayne, I'm sorry, we're gonna do number 7 also? We did the
We-
director of planning?
Oh, I said both.
Oh,
six and seven.
they are both together? I'm sorry, my mistake.
Continue on with updated.
Please.
Okay. As I mentioned previously, we have a significant amount of money pending reimbursement from the state. These are closeouts, amounts from different grants. A lot of it is dependent upon our MWBE compliance, which we had submitted all the forms, and then typical, the state changed the forms requirement. And so Ethan's really been diligent, and Sue have been diligent in trying to restructure the same information in a format that they want. We have had closeout requests pending since April 6th for some of these. And with the state of New York, if we are 30 days late in submitting a reimbursement request, we get a nasty note, but they can be 6 months late and, just, oh, well. So anyway, that's just a side note. The other item is the septic replacement program. To date, out of the first initial award of $340,000, we have reimbursed homeowners $208,591.02. All but $1,408.98 are allocated to potential recipients. So we have pretty much allocated that first award and have also sent out some letters on the second $600,000 award. Actually, I think that's 640 now.
Yeah,
because
635, yeah.
There were some counties in the state that chose not to accept the money, so the state reallocated, and we increased that capital fund by $40,000. So that program we want to spend the early money first, and then get into the last award, probably starting in, we have sent out award letters, but the work probably won't get done starting until next year. But it's been well received, and we'll just keep moving forward with it. So that's all I had on that.
Supervisor McGowan.
Oh, yeah, thank you. How long does it take to send out the reimbursements after they get an acceptance letter and then all the paperwork's filed and?
Once all the paperwork is filed, usually with the county treasurer system, within 2 weeks, we'll submit, put it in the batch. And then usually after the batch is accepted by the auditor, goes over to the treasurer's office, and usually within 3 days or so, a check is cut. So it's probably within 3 weeks of when we have all the complete file, receipts. We get a notice from the town of Queensbury is very good at that, and the certificate of compliance. And so once we see that, we know they've met all the local requirements. And we'll use that as part of our decision-making process as to when to cut it.
Oh, all right. So you get information from the town, then you, and then auditor.
Yeah, it's a process.
And you said 3 weeks? I sounds
Once-
more like a
once-
month and a half.
Once we get all the information,
All right.
so,
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I think it's a great program, and I'm so glad that the state realized that we could really use more money in it. I think it's keeping our waterways safe, so thank you.
under referrals pending items, if I may.
You may.
Quite honestly, we have not looked at this. We just have not had the time.
I have, and this is in relation to whether Warren County should opt in or out of providing benefits to tax benefits to commercial solar installations. And I've since learned a few more things. The IDA is actually moving forward with trying to define their position on this. Late yesterday afternoon, I understand that the town of Queensbury is also moving forward with defining their plan in terms of how to address that. So my impression is we should be aligned, and we're going to wait until those two other things happen, and I'll bring it back to the committee. We'll move forward.
So, that's all I personally have. I don't know if Sarah or Ethan have.
I have something I'd like to request from Sarah.
Okay.
And Sarah just very recently informed me of some funding that we were able to receive in relation to broadband. But before she does that, I want to commend her for showing up today on her birthday. So thank you, Sarah. And there's rumors about her age, but I'm going to say I think it's about 21 because she's probably looking forward to some kind of adult beverage by the time she gets out of here today.
Yeah, it's a milestone birthday.
But Sarah, thank you. If you could just give us.
Guessing on which milestone.
Yeah. But if you could just give us an update on the additional funding that you have for us from broadband. I think it's important for the committee and as well as the public, if anyone's watching, to understand where we're moving with that.
Okay, so currently, the FCC has two, what they're calling broadband challenges underway. One just opened Friday, one opened previously. So essentially the FCC has released two maps, both based on the same data. One shows all of the addresses that the FCC considers as addresses eligible to, or I'm not sure what the right word is, not eligible, but basically commercial and residential structures where broadband should be available. And we have an opportunity to essentially challenge that data and submit corrections to it. The number of broadband eligible addresses determines funding that the FCC will provide to the state. So we have been going through this process of looking essentially for addresses that are missing from the FCC data in areas that are underserved by broadband. So we've been working on that for the last few weeks, and so far we've found a little over 200 addresses that are missing from the FCC database. If those are approved as, what they consider to be unserviced addresses, each one of those is potentially eligible for $4,000 in funding from the FCC to the state. So this process that we've gone through is potentially going to result in about $800,000 worth of additional broadband money from the feds to the state. There's a second component to the challenge, and that has just opened up as of Friday. That's for the municipalities. There's an online map where the FCC, in addition to just providing location information, is also providing information about what service is available at particular addresses. So for instance, addresses are shown on the map as having, HughesNet, Spectrum, a variety of different providers, and municipalities are able to challenge whether or not that service is available at that location. So I would encourage any of the town supervisors who haven't taken a look at that to look at that data in more detail. Beth Gillis, I'm working with Beth to reach out to the local municipalities. You may have gotten something from NACO or NISAC about this process. So that will be, I think the first round of submissions are due maybe mid-January, but it will be a rolling process. But it's in everybody's best interest to submit challenges to that data so that we improve our funding chances.
Excellent. Thanks. Any questions for Sarah?
Yes,
Mr. Minister.
yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wonder where a service like Frontier, where there is DSL available, but it's poor, how does that count?
So the map is really really detailed. I wasn't planning to talk about this today, otherwise I would have brought my laptop and I could have showed everybody. But our next meeting, I can show everybody exactly how it works, or if you have any questions about it in the interim, if you're able to take a look. Again, I think Beth from the Regional Planning Board hopefully should be reaching out to everybody with a link. And I'm happy to help. You can filter for various different types of service. So it can be terrestrial, as well as satellite. You can turn things on and off in the map. You can challenge it right in the map. So it's a pretty nice system that they've set up.
So without objection, can we refer this to our next meeting to get some more details? If it's appropriate and of interest? Why don't we do that, Sarah? So if you can plan for the next
Yep.
meeting? Ethan, any quick updates? from your Perspective?
My perspective, like Wayne said, we're cleaning up some old grants and really about to kick off a lot of new projects, which are exciting. County Comprehensive Plan, hugely important. Northern Borders Regional Commission plan for the multi-use trail system in the county, and the housing study. So we have a lot of really good stuff coming up. These plans should help us, identify priority strategies and, some of the most, I guess, strategic courses of action moving forward to address some of the big challenges we're facing.
Very good. Any questions for Ethan? With that, we can move on. Next, I'm sorry, just one more.
Comp
course.
plan update. Things were approved and.
Correct. For both the comp plan and for the housing study, the purchasing office issued the notice to proceed. I believe it was yesterday.
The housing study, I have had discussions with Novogradac and they are providing us a sample, their typical contract form. So I talked with Amy, in the county attorney's office, and so as soon as I get that, I'll forward that to her so we can move that along. I've had discussions with Labella, and hopefully soon, maybe, the holidays are really going to play havoc with availability of people, but we do want to kind of have a scoping meeting, and just lay out how this whole process is going to work. It's going to be an 18-month process or so. It's not going to be overnight. There's going to be a lot of outreach efforts. And so all of that needs to be defined under the general, broad guidelines of the proposal they submitted. So we need to nail down some items on that.
Thank you. Anything else? So moving on, the next thing on the agenda was EDC. I suggested to Mr. Sipline not to show up today, primarily because of our inability to stay on schedule with committee meetings. And it was proven again today that we're probably close to an hour late. So moving on, we're going to go to workforce development. Liza.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. I have 4 resolution requests for your consideration today. The first one is to amend our budget to include the revenue from the Y Reconnects grant that we have in a contract with probation. That program is on, is running up and running now with young people getting business mentors, internships, and we're now able to build hours to that grant.
So a motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Strauss, Supervisor McDevitt, any questions? Comments? None. Seeing that, I'll call the question. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? That passes. Thank you, Liza.
Thank you. The second resolution request is for a new agreement with Crandall Public Library. As you may recall, part of the ARPA money that we received was for $30,000 of technology. And we were able to purchase laptops, iPads, Wi-Fi printer, et cetera. In this agreement, Crandall Library will be renting out laptops and potentially hotspots as well in the future. But the agreement is for us to start renting more short-term out of our office and more long-term out of the library, only for individuals in our community who can show proof of needing it for educational training, employment purposes.
Very good. Motion to bring this to the floor. Mr. McGowan, thank you. Second. Supervisor Stroud, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained? That passes. Thank you, Liza.
Thank you. The third resolution request is to renew our intent to fill for the part-time office specialist. We are still waiting on civil service exam results 6 months later. So, and that position is still in our budget, and we're hoping to be able to hire somebody soon as my staff are helping to cover our front desk.
Motion in a second. Supervisor McGowan, Supervisor McDevitt on the second. Any questions? Hearing none, call the motion or call a question. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Abstain? That passes also. Thank you, Liza.
Thank you. And the final resolution request, before I provide other updates, is intent to fill for employment and training counselor 2. Our youth counselor resigned effective November 4th of this month. She has taken a position with BOS.
Motion, Supervisor McDevitt, Supervisor McGowan, Stroud. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none, that passes. Thank you, Liza.
And I have several updates to share, if I may.
Please. We have 50 minutes left on our original schedule.
I should be done in a few. I did want to provide clarity from yesterday's Human Services meeting where it was discussed about the partnership that my department has with DSS for employment classes and services. Both the deputy commissioner of DSS and myself felt like we needed to provide more information. We do feel like the partnership is very valuable, and with continuing to have career pathways classes in our location in the Travelers Building. We do think that is the best location for the classes, which is why the contract has been renewed. We did decide to lower the amount of money in that contract. I think it was $100,000, as now it's $40,000, because we weren't using that much of it for billable expenses and hours. However, we've also learned in the 3 years now we've been doing this, or almost 3 years we've been doing this partnership, is that there's a lot of state regulations that DSS employees need to manage that my staff cannot manage effectively, right? We have other regulations that we follow through our WIOA grant. So for efficiency and streamlining, we just wanted to update our contract, but we wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we still feel like the Travelers Building career pathways classes is the best location, and that the partnership is extremely valuable. Were there any questions about that? Because I know several of you were in that meeting or listened yesterday about our partnership.
Administrator.
Right, so just to clarify, you're fine with this split, you're working with DSS, you're good partners on this, all is good,
Absolutely.
thank you.
And I also wanted to remind folks, because I think Supervisor Seaver and others brought up that the conversation has happened several times throughout the last several years about our location being downtown. And I think when the Human Service Building was built, there were thoughts of employment and training then being in that building, but Department of Labor did not feel like it was large enough. We are required to be co-located with New York State Department of Labor because of our federal grant, WIOA grant. So it does require that of us. And we take up about half of that side of the floor on the 3rd floor. For those of you who have visited us, we have a computer lab. We're starting basic computer courses again. And so, and this board also, the County Board of Supervisors also just renewed our DOL contract through 2025 to be in that space. So that was the other point of clarity I wanted to offer for why we continue to operate in Travelers and why we're happy there. And as my department used to be under Human Services and now is under Economic Growth and Development, working more with our business community, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to see us as a partner in Travelers rather than the Human Service Building. So I just wanted to provide that additional information as well about our requirements with New York State Department of Labor. We are continuing to interview for the Student to Careers Development Specialist, which is funded by ARPA. I have another interview tomorrow with a candidate. That person will work closely with all of our Warren County school districts to build upon the career exploration programming that they already have going. I'm super excited about that, and so are the school districts that I've met with so far. Queensbury School District has also agreed to get on the job fair bandwagon as well. So we'll be starting our high school job fair planning in January, and those job fairs happening in March to help more of our young people get summer employment. I've also been presenting to high school students in the BOS programs, as well as SUNY students when they're finishing credentials, about how to best market themselves and what to be aware of in this new labor market, but also really trying to keep young people here in our community. We need them more than ever. And so it's really important that I'm hearing from them what their career interests are, connecting them with local businesses, and letting them know how to best market themselves with a new credential or experience. Similar to that with the challenges the countryside has had with staffing, connected them with the Adirondack or SUNY Adirondack Culinary School, and Chef Matt Bolton has shared those job postings with his students and alumni, and was able to interview some of his students as well recently to make sure that we continue to build a pipeline to our local in-demand industries, not just the restaurants, but any place that needs cooks, right? We know that that's going to be a long-term need for us. Don Lehman and I are planning with Chairman Garrity's support, a job fair in Warrensburg scheduled for December 12th. We were very happy with the turnout of our job fair in Glens Falls in October, which has now helped us feel like we can move forward with in-person job fairs again. We weren't sure if there would be a demand with unemployment rate being so low. So you will start to see more promotional information about that for businesses in the Warrensburg area to register for that. We'll do about 20 businesses, and it'll be in the fire station, and hoping to get a lot of traffic going by to stop through. Continuing to work with Warren County on retaining our workers, right? So we're doing a very successful training with DPW leaders, managers, supervisors. We just finished restorative practices training with 6 patrol officers from the Sheriff's Department. 4 of those 6 want to continue meeting and learning more about how to implement restorative practices. Really, and it's their input. We're following their lead for what they want to try in their current procedures. And I have the sheriff's and undersheriff's support on that, and the lieutenants, which is fantastic. And then also working with Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce, we want to help our businesses retain their employees, right? We have so many great businesses here, but that doesn't mean that they're all great employers. And we really need to retain who we have. So I plan to be doing more events with them. You may have seen one. There's one coming up December 14th, and some others in the new year. And then I hope to be working with Director Figueroa as well here with Human Resources in the new year, planning other strategies for retaining Warren County employees. Couple more updates. The bike season is ending. They're pulling the bikes up this week. The CDPHP cycle bikes, we have more than doubled ridership from last season. I will have that data for you in January. And we're also reporting some of that data back to ARPA as well, because we used a lot of, not a lot of ARPA money, but we used $28,000 of ARPA money between Greater Glens Falls Transit and my department to provide bus and bike passes to local workers and J1 workers. So Scott Sopcich at Greater Glens Falls Transit has been able to pinpoint which businesses and areas were using those passes the most. And so we'll have that data to share with you in the new year. But I'm excited that ridership more than doubled. And then finally, end on another positive note, you may have seen on Channel 13 News last week, Mark Mulholland presented a story about the top manufacturing towns in the country. And of 400 metro areas that were studied, Glens Falls was in the top 25. And so 16% of Glens Falls jobs are manufacturing, and that's a 3% rise since last year. And the other area in the capital region that was noted was Schenectady, Troy area. So I just wanted you guys to know that national attention and study about our area being a great place for manufacturing jobs, not only because of the jobs available and the salaries, but also the cost of living.
Interesting, to say the least. I hadn't heard that. Liza, I'm just curious, how are we doing on the open job situation here within the county? I know it was hundreds, if not more.
Yeah, we always see it dip a little in the winter, which is normal. But we're still trying to get the word out that people who historically have taken unemployment in the winter and worked just summer jobs, we need them to work all winter. There's plenty of jobs here. And even as people are worried about the economy and inflation, we continue to see consumer spending, and we continue to see a low unemployment rate. So we still have, but we still have a lot of places that need help, especially as we're going into holiday shopping season. So yes,
I could use some help.
lots of jobs, yes.
Day shopping. So thanks. Any other questions for Liza? Yes, Wayne.
I just want to bring up one thing. Liza mentioned Countryside. I'm probably in the DPW meetings or facilities, they talked about work is starting at Countryside on the renovation. We have I think it's $1.2 million worth of grant funds as part of that. And it is tied to those grant funds is something called the Title III compliance, and that is new jobs have to be made available to low and moderate income persons. We are working with Liza, and we had a pre-construction meeting where I informed all the contractors that if they have new hires, they need to contact Liza with a skill set and job title. She will match that. If she has any that meet those qualifications, they'll get referred to the employer. And that should satisfy our Title III requirements, but we do have a relationship with them for filling any new jobs that would be part of the construction process. So just wanted to bring that up.
Very good. Supervisor McGowan, you have your hand up?
No, I just want to reach out, Liza, what a really nice final report there of everything you've done. You do such a great job for us out there in that building all alone. But thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to your reports every month.
Any other questions, comments? I have one announcement, but I'll do privilege of the floor first. Anyone? Ethan?
One very brief comment, just piggyback on Liza's work with transportation for workers, Adirondack Glens Falls Transportation Council, the regional board. The planning department is helping them with a rural worker mobility study. Basically, what we're trying to do is connect more people to jobs. So if you do see solicitations for information, or if you have businesses that are interested, there's gonna be a lot of stakeholder engagement with this, trying to find some solutions and looking at pilot projects for that. So stay tuned. If you do get some notification from either AGFTC or the regional board or us, take a look at it. Because we are trying to work on some solutions and pilot programs for connecting workers without transportation to the jobs that we have, because that's one of the significant barriers in Warren County.
There it is. Thanks. Any other comment? Seeing none, I just want to make one quick announcement. I did it during the board meeting, but on the 30th of November, the Adirondack Regional Chamber has an event where a representative from the New York's Federal Reserve is going to be here talking about regional economic conditions. Should be very interesting. I'm definitely going to be there. And if anyone else would like to attend, go to the chamber website. I'm sure they'll find a way to get you in. With that, hopefully Chairman Stroud for the next committee might give me a couple of minutes to speak since I got him back on schedule.
Yeah.
And motion to adjourn. Motion adjourned. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
I registered for that.
Did you?
Not there. Yeah.
Very good. I think it's going to be good.